everybody, it's Thursday.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Night Bite.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Emily.
And Emily's talking about her hot tea.
And as we were coming in, I was thinking, it is one of our first cold evenings in a while. This weather, gosh, I feel like summer was here for a few days and it is about to tank off and it's going to really feel like fall.
Yeah, even just between this morning and this afternoon, it got a little chilly. There was deer running around and birds flying around. I didn't stick my head in the water when I was pulling swim rafts at work, but I'm sure the fish were swimming around too. So everything's moving. We got hot tea in our hands. And like I said, like I posted on this, we have Emily with us. She's here on the show and I'm here. Unfortunately,
I made fun of Josh for scheduling the show this way, but we do have a special guest, and there might be some hints on the screen and some hints in some previous episodes if you were to watch. We told you what we were going to start talking about this week, so we'll get to that in a minute because we do always start out with a fishing report.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one of the first things about, this past weekend is the last time we were out on the water. And by us on Saturday, it was just raining. It was really, really lightning and thunder. And that was supposed to just kind of wane off throughout the day. And so we considered going out in the afternoon and then we didn't even because, to be honest, it continued to rain. So we got to stay home in the lure lab.
Yeah, we did. And that you're like talking about that with the lure lab, and it totally reminded me that at the end of the show, I have something for someone. So make sure you read the description. And if you don't want to read the description, just share the show while it's live and make a comment. And then we'll talk about what's going on at the end of the show. What I want to give someone. We were in the lure lab. How can I not give something away? Plus, we're going to talk about some more giveaways in the next few episodes, leading up to this show because we have some great vendors and we just want to give some stuff away. So make sure you tune in. And yeah. So anyway, that was way off topic. We were in the lure lab. We were on the boat.
Not on Saturday. We were not on the boat.
No,
but on Sunday
the weekend.
We were.
Yeah. In general, Saturday we were in the house. Sunday we were on the boat. It was all filled with fishing.
And you can tell how much that's all swimming around in Josh's brain because that was not even linear. Here, there. So the funny thing is we did get to make a bunch of tackle on Saturday, and it's not what we use to fish on Sunday. And the reason is because we started to assume that fish are going into that fall pattern. We see leaves changing on the trees. We see leaves falling. We're raking and all of that kind of stuff. But we found water temperatures still mid-60s. We found fish. I really think fish still think it is summer. And so it wasn't, I wasn't going to say it wasn't quite summer patterns, but the reason, I guess, is because we're starting to see some of the weed lines dying off. Yep. And in a momentous instance, Josh had suggested that we switch lakes midday.
Momentous.
Well, we just never do that. Look at our screen in the background, our green screen. In case people don't know, that's what this is. Look at how crazy it looks with the cat walking through. Yeah, you got to get out of here, cat. But Sunday we did switch lakes, and it's funny because Josh did really well in the morning on lake number 1, and I only did mediocre, to be honest. And then we switched lakes and I crushed it, and Josh did maybe a little bit better than mediocre. But it's just funny how the day went because we're fishing the same boat, the same place, the same captain, similar baits, and there's just something to be said about maybe it's cadence, maybe it's luck. Who knows?
I mean, I think Lake 2 was more about your position in the boat. I think you got to cast at some of the spots first, and that is all the time. That's how we have our boat set up. That's how I prefer it. I prefer fishing out of the back of the boat. That's how I like running it. But I think in this lake in particular, with how narrow it is, I think that there isn't a whole lot of room. Usually I can cast around you to hit spots around you, but how slow we were fishing and how small the lake is just led you to be able to hit spots and not miss a whole lot of water, where normally we are able to hop skip each other with our floats. And so, like you said, I didn't do bad.
No.
You know, it was all good. Lots of panfish, lots of different species actually.
But the secret, I guess, was finding brush, finding wood, finding whatever that structure was, but in deeper water. So I'm not talking the structure in 2 feet, the branch that just fell in off the edge. We're talking, look for 8, 10, 12 feet of water. And if there is wood hanging off or through or under or around any of that, that is we were fishing for those fish. And that was a really great time. So looking forward to the fall bite that is still coming, because even though this last week looked like fall, there is more on the way. But as we are always interested, let us know where you guys are fishing. Let us know what you're fishing for. Let us know how that's going. Maybe you're north and it is fall, or maybe you're south and it is still summer. But I'm interested in that, because this year, or this part of the year, those trends are happening.
Yeah, and especially in water temp, put that in the comments, because I bet all of you will be really surprised at how much it ranges. Because even it was 15, these 2 bodies of water are 15 minutes apart. They're probably one's about 5 times as big as the other one. The bigger one was actually cooler on average than the smaller one. And that had to do with some watercolor. So it's just interesting how much difference there is. Emily's been talking about how, we usually do this type of fishing when the leaves turn this color. And it's like, well, this year's weird because we have a drought. And so the leaves are dropping early. All of your timing, it might be thrown off. So make sure you pay attention to those water temperatures. Make sure you're using your electronics, if you have them, to find these fish, and then just start narrowing down. This time of year, I really like, especially during cold fronts, I really like pink. I really like orange. Those are 2 really good colors to start with. But sometimes they surprise you and it's sunny day out and they want black. So just, those are things that I think about all day long.
You can tell. I don't know. It's true though. I guess that's why we end up in the lure lab. That's funny. But I can almost not hang out any longer. I am dying to bring our guest in. But can you give us some hints? Don't. He was about to hit the button. Oh my goodness. Give us some hints. I don't know. We have this whole bio in front of us. I'm putting Josh on the spot. He didn't know I was going to do this.
Why would you
give us some hints on who this person is?
Hey, tech guy, you want to be the anchor today? That's how this is going. I don't know. You pick. There's a whole there. Okay. So our surprise guest, he writes
I feel like we need a drum roll.
He writes for some national publications, and he had a syndicated outdoor column for 25 years. That's my tip. Now,
there's like a whole paragraph here.
How are people gonna pick this person out? He's like it just goes on and on and on and on. It's so awesome. Like how much stuff.
The funny thing about this is when we bring this person in, it's almost, you're going to read his name and then you'll be like, wait, this is actually really funny how this is playing out. But I was going to say, okay, so we're doing a really terrible job of introducing you. And the funny thing is, honestly, this is one of our favorite people, but often at this expo above us, well, I'm pointing, but it's stuck in our green screen, this expo above us. This is one of these people that's often behind the scenes. So actually, we're so excited to talk to, let's bring Dan in. But I think partially because we're excited to kind of give you, yeah.
I'm gonna pretend I'm somebody worthy, and like, I'm Mel Linder behind here right now. So these glasses, that's just some, writer guy that sells bobbers for a living. Whatever. But thanks for the intro. That was pretty positive.
Well, I mean, okay, so quite honestly, Dan, like we have some awesome people on this show, and we don't normally have somebody with as many accolades as you do, and so it's like it's daunting for us to be able to list as many.
I either have to sit.
I'm not like
bio.
Like I'm not even joking here. Like there's like me personally, you sent us this list of stuff that I was like, oh my gosh, I've been working with this guy for how many years now? I don't even know half of this stuff.
And it's all topped off with mission work and family man.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. You find time to like do all these things, and then you're like, you do mission work, and you're like
run expos in your
football
free time.
coach and family guy, and like I can barely take care of this crazy cat that Emily's ripping off my shoulder.
Well, I hope there's a blush filter on this because it's pretty beet red right now.
So we normally start with a really generic question of, for people who don't know you, tell us about yourself, but I feel like we've all gotten to know you a little bit here. But what have we missed?
Well, I guess I'll give you a Cliff Notes version. I always wanted to be in the outdoors, everything, from the get-go. And, from getting up early and fishing with my dad and stuff like that. And went to, worked at Gander Mountain when it was Gander Mountain, and they actually had a Gander Mountain and they sold guns and lures and stuff. I worked there for 8 years while I was going to college for journalism and advertising in Whitewater. And my whole thing for working at Gander was to gain product knowledge and stuff like that. And, and in customer service, and I just loved it, and was kind of blessed that when I graduated, I could have taken a job at a local daily newspaper, but kind of decided to roll the dice and hooked up with Wisconsin Outdoor News with who was now my partner, Jeff Bast, and sold ads for them and worked all the sports shows and I've been an outdoor writer for them now for 26 years and pretty much do all their new product, write-ups from anything from new bows to new ice fishing lures to whatever. And then, about 20 some years ago, we started our ad agency because we saw a niche there, right? I mean, there was nobody. We found that there was a lot of people, ad agencies specifically, that would be representing brands that didn't actually fish or hunt. And so we're like, you know what, we do this stuff, and we still continue our relationship with Outdoor News, great publication, all 7 states and whatever. But we found that if we're going to be an ad agency, we're going to do what we do, and we're not going to fake it. And so that's what we did, and worked with a bunch of different, Ducks Unlimited and a bunch of different manufacturers in the hunting and fishing space. One of those was the Wisconsin Fishing Expo, which back then was the Madison Fishing Expo. They've been around for 25 some years, and at that point, and we did all their marketing and PR, and we just loved their mission, right? It was a coalition of nonprofit groups that from bass, muskie, trout, walleye, whatever, didn't matter, right? Didn't matter, sometimes today, I think fishing groups and stuff is so vertical, right? Like, I'm a muskie person, I'm a pan fisherman, I'm a walleye. This was a coalition, right, of everybody. And we did a lot of work for them on the PR and the things, did a lot of gratis work. And when we took over that show about 7 years ago, great bunch of guys and gals, but they wanted to kind of move on and fish more and run less expo stuff. So when we took them over, we're an ad agency, and we were their PR agency. And when we did it, our whole mission was to continue their legacy and to let all these nonprofits, groups, women's groups, inner cities, anything we can to help grow the sport, right? We didn't want to be the golf show that comes in and just runs an expo and then goes to the next state. We wanted to give back, and we've continued to do that with the Wisconsin Fishing Expo in Madison. And then we got to know these Crappie Junction people who are pretty freaking awesome. And you guys and various brands that we work with that both work the open water and ice space were like, we need to start an ice fishing expo. And, we decided to do that right about during COVID when that hit. And my wife was like, what are you doing? And why are you doing this? And so, And let's be honest, there's been some ice fishing expos in Wisconsin that failed, that we think were in the demographically the wrong area, Milwaukee. And we had enough guidance from you guys and Thorn Brothers and Clam and Eskimo and a good buddy of mine, Tony Aloy, you know, ran the Fargo show forever. You know, monumental in getting us involved and talking to how we need to do this thing and do it right. And we settled in on Oshkosh, which is the mecca of ice fishing in Wisconsin. So that's the next stage, and we're pretty doggone happy about it. And oh my gosh, as you guys have seen, and you're talking to us all the time, we're darn near full, and maybe have to open up another building, and maybe even next year have to go to another facility if this thing really does well. So that's it. Is that okay? Is that okay?
Yeah.
That's a yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
that was-
hanging on all this. I'm
That
like,
was just
so
awesome.
excited.
We're so excited. I mean, one of the best things, one of our favorite things about, you know, we met you through a really some awesome people, and we've gotten to know you guys, and you guys have gotten to know us, and it's been so awesome. Like the Wisconsin Fishing Expo, the previous Madison Expo, like as we work there, like I don't know if everybody out there understands. You guys have like, it's you guys, and you have your wives and your kids and their boyfriends and girlfriends, and
Yep.
everybody is there working. You know, we kind of do like little potluck stuff, and everybody brings stuff, and your wife brings all kinds of like snacks and foods in, and like
Yeah.
we sit and have dinners together, and it's an awesome time. Like the whole thing is like about the expo. Like everybody there loves the show, loves fishing, and you've brought that same energy over to ice fishing, which is something that we're like extreme. Like we talk about fishing in the boat and stuff, but we're extremely passionate about ice fishing, and especially the people behind ice fishing, like the small garage mom and pop, like those people, and you guys share that same passion with us. And so that's so awesome, because that's what's going to make this ice fishing show successful, because I believe that's been lost in a lot of things, in social media, in just stores in general. Like that passion for people's ingenuity has been kind of put towards the wayside. And I think with you, like all of us working together, I think we're going to bring a little bit of that back to the ice fishing industry. And I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome that you say that, especially about the potluck. I mean, I know you love my pulled pork that I brought to my contraband pulled pork that I snuck into the facility in Madison. But no, I agree with you, man. I mean, it's, you know, when you look at Minnesota, you know, they've got 4 or 5 premier ice expos that do really well, you know. Mm-hmm. And the thought, like what we've all discussed, is like, why can't Wisconsin have one? We're behind them. Minnesota's ahead of us in what they do, the tactics they use, the big ice houses, the wheelhouses, the stuff that they deploy, which, you know, we may not have a mill wax in Wisconsin. I guess probably Winnebago's as close as we can. However, you know, what we're seeing is those giant wheelhouses and ice houses can also serve as a great camping facility for, you know, for when they are during the season, you know, during summer. Yeah. So I think that's the mentality we need to do, is we need to catch up to them. And I think we have a very good blueprint for what we're doing. A lot of what you guys have suggested, and even our vendors are suggesting, like, holy cow, you guys have to, you know, this should work here. We want to be here. You know, why do we, and nothing, we're not St. Paul, right? That's the Mecca. That we're not trying to be St. Paul. But we might be almost as good as, and have just as good as stuff, maybe a little bit less space. But you don't have to drive 6 hours there if you're from Milwaukee or Chicago or Winnebago, or, you know, you can get that same atmosphere in an awesome show, and it's going to apply the people right here in our state. And you can even look at that with our speakers, right? We have, Tom Boley and, Larry Smith and all these great speakers, tons of them, that are going to dial you in, not just on Winnebago, but Wisconsin fishing. Like, you don't have to go, you may have a speaker in Minnesota that can just hammer giant crappies and perch on rock in big, giant Mille Lacs, whatever space, but that might not be applicable on the Madison chain or Lake Pewaukee Lake or Okauchee or, Winnebago. So we're going to try to take that and harness it and make it applicable for our state, so people don't have to drive so far and can still get a great experience.
Okay, yeah, but side note, if you know who's crushing crappies on Mille Lacs, you let me know, because they can be hard to find.
Okay.
Well, okay, but Emily popped up a good comment a little bit earlier. Ryan Ebert, I believe he's going to be on our show coming up here in the next couple weeks, and he is coming from the sturgeon spearing world. And maybe some of you out there don't know, but Wisconsin, especially the Winnebago system, has a very strong tradition in sturgeon spearing, and that's another really cool aspect to our show that no other show is going to be able to boast, is that we have this really cool community of sturgeon spearers. And it's, I grew up in Minnesota, so that there was a little bit of pike spearing that I did as a kid. And that's a community in and of itself. The Dark House guys, got to know some of them a little bit, but sturgeon spearing is everybody's out there for a sturgeon. But when you're talking about selling something like 20,000 tags and only 200 fish can be harvested, there's a reason that all those tags get sold every year. And because it's more of a community thing. And so it's a really cool thing to be able to bring to the expo. And one thing maybe not everybody realizes, along with the sturgeon spearing, is that I would venture to guess, I don't know, you stop me and you guess if my guess is off, but I'm going to venture to guess that like 60 or even 70% of the ice fishing products, like where they're developed, where their brainchild came from, what is Wisconsin. A lot of these brands that everybody knows, like at the ice shows.
I'll stop you. I gotta say, there's somebody at home that's like, no way. But I don't have a statistic. I have no idea. You said to call you out, so I did.
I said if you disagreed with me, you don't have to do it just to spite me.
That was
no, but I mean, seriously,
that was a Diet Coke.
But in all seriousness, like there's a lot of these brands that you see at the shows, that you see on your shelves. Check where they are made, and a lot of times it's Wisconsin. And I didn't even know that, like, until the last few years. And I started really talking to some of these vendors and getting to know them really well, and knowing not only the backstory to their product, but just the backstory to them, and getting to know them as friends. Like, there is a huge amount of products that come out of Wisconsin that I never even knew came from here. So that's really cool to bring, to give them a place that to call their own. This is our show. And it's so awesome. And my head is just spinning because I'm just so passionate about this. It's going to be sweet.
Well, and so if this is an appropriate time to break in, because I feel like a lot of people feel that way. It's easy to get so excited about all of it. So, I mean, as we're talking about some of this, is it possible to bring the website up? Because one of the reasons I like that is right on the main page of the website. So first of all, you just have to go and look for icefishexpo.com. It's really just that easy. And when you are I'm watching Josh changes. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. So when you are on the website, what's really nice is the very front of this page is broken up by exhibitors, speakers, kid zone, and then there's an additional spot for exhibitor sign up. So I don't know if you're still an exhibitor. Oh, we were talking Corey, Immaculate Tackle. He was dying to get into this expo. I wonder.
Corey,
we should talk about this after the show. Yeah, by the way, Dan. But if you are the kind of person at home and you are not an exhibitor, you can go and see an example of all of those different people that are there. And as Josh is showing you, oh, even a map.
So here's the list so far. And the cool thing about this map, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dan, but I'm very positive that this updates live. So when Don puts in somebody into the map, like it'll change, and you can see who's in and who's out, like as Don's changing it.
Yeah, that will be live. However, that is not done every single day.
Right.
So you may, for instance, you're showing the map right now, it shows like one of the sections. There's a whole nother area where like the ice junkies will be there with their deal. It'll be, upper left corner. And yeah, there you go. So the ice junkies will be there, Santa and the trout pond, and in between all that, so when you go from one building to the next, we've got a Euro truck, we've got a sub truck, we got a coffee thing, we got kettle corn, we got all the ice houses that are coming and stuff. So it's almost like a festival atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I mean, I kind of like that. I like the one big building. That's really cool too. But as a kid, when I grew up going to like Mecca, when I was in the Journal Sentinel sports show with my dad, and I'd like exploring new areas, and then holy cow, you walk out the door and oh man, there's a Euro truck. And that's the thing. Like, this isn't the food we're having there. And I know, Josh, you don't like to eat at all. But it's not Cisco truck hamburgers and hot dogs in a Nesco pot. This is quality food and food vendors that we're bringing in, that you don't have to leave. You can stay all day and get all anything you want and go from seminar to seminar to seminar that is going to address anything that you want. So we're excited about that. And the Ice Junkies, the Kids Zone, you guys help bring that aboard. That's going to be awesome. We just to get more kids in. That's the whole deal, right? Which is part of the reason, like, we've partnered up with WIFA, which is the Wisconsin Interscholastic Fishing Association. I mean, you're looking at 130 some schools that have these fishing teams, and they do open water fish as well. But what's the beauty about ice fishing? You don't need a $80,000, bass boat. So they're all coming. We're partnering with them. They're going to be selling their goods. They're going to be working, helping us out in the parking lot and stuff like that with ticketing. But we wanted to help them. They wanted to help us to partner up to bring more exposure. So we get that younger demographic at our show, because, for instance, our show happens, and then a week later is when their ice fishing tournament series kicks off. So these young men and women are just going to be absolutely fired up. They're going to be buying a lot of stuff. They're going to be checking out all the seminars. They're helping us out, and it's just a win-win in multiple layers, right? I mean, just to get all those kids in there. And I mean, don't get me wrong. Football coach, baseball coach, I love that type of sport, right? I love that. But have I ever played football ever after high school? No. Maybe, or baseball, or, bar league softball, maybe. But ice fishing and fishing are something that we get these kids involved now and get their pilot light lit and keep it burning. That's something that can do forever, and that's what's kind of cool. That's where we're so happy to have this group as our partner.
Yeah, I mean, that you bring up a great point. Like, there's like you said, high school sports are awesome, but the fact that there's fishing teams, and not only fishing teams, but ice fishing teams in schools now, and they can be competitive, but this is a sport where not only is it like a team sport, but it's also a solo sport, and it's physically demanding, but it's also emotionally demanding, and it takes a lot of thinking. So there's a lot of thinking involved in all of this. So you're hitting all the facets of what like a well-rounded kid should be getting out of one sport. And just having these kids here in a setting like this, like even over the weekend during the Wisconsin Fishing Expo in at the end of February, like you see the kids grow throughout the weekend. Like they start talking to people more towards the end of the weekend, and like going around and they're not all huddled up in a corner on their phones. They're out there, the coach is like, hey, go talk to people, bring them over to the booth, and they start doing that. And it's just really cool to see that.
Yep, 100%. You can. It's been interesting with our open water show in Madison. I've seen some of these kids from Madison, Whitewater, La Crosse. Those are our three big ones that do a bunch of stuff with us. And I've seen them grow, like when they were a junior or maybe a sophomore, they'd show up at the show, right? And they're sitting at their booth and on their phone, whatever, a little bit sometimes. But then, next year you see they're a little more open. And then the next year they're more open even, more than that. And then all of a sudden you see them and we move them up into a different category where they're talking to people and getting people excited about the show. And it's like, it's interesting to see how they mature and get more confident. Like, as you guys know, some of the seminars we have at our open water show address being in the industry and marketing, and not everybody's going to be a Mike Iaconelli or Kevin Van Dam and making $1 million in the circuit. It just doesn't happen. But there's also marine technicians, there's sales reps, there's marketing people, there's social influencers that if they really like this sport, they can make a living on it, and maybe not just on the tournament side, but on the other. I mean, there's just a bazillion different things that they can do, and that's what we love. I mean, and I know you guys love that too, is that introducing them to this, whether it's our Ice Expo or Open Water Expo, it's like just opening their eyes, like, hey, there's a lot of stuff you can do and still love, be passionate about your job and kind of intermingle it with your passion for fishing.
I mean, I guess one of the nice things that I'm also thinking about during this conversation is, we talk about, a family friendly event. It is fun for adults. It is fun for kids. But the fun thing about that is that it's not just a little kid event, or it's not just a big kid event. When we say family friendly, there can be Santa there, for the little kids or for whoever, that's fun. But if you are one of those youth who's going into high school, you're about to be a young adult, sometimes it's hard to hit all of those different age groups. But this is one of those ways that's really possible to do that, is through fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. I mean, we have the 101 stuff, like Greg Karch and his sponsors and stuff like that. I mean, you go to his seminar as a 101 type ice fishing deal, he's got 60 some different ice fishing combos that he's going to give away to somebody entering the sport, whether it be a kid or an adult, because bottom line is it's great to hit the youth, but you also have to hit the parents so they'll take the kids out or the neighbor out, whatever that goes. But then, it's everything in between there, it's real dialed in stuff as well, like patterns and techniques and even, some ice fishing safety stuff, which you guys know what you're doing, right? But somebody entering the sport may not know that just because the ice looks great doesn't mean there's not a spring there that, and you may not know the tell, you guys would, but somebody may not know the tell that's saying, oh boy, don't go to that, or don't drive your truck out here. And the patterns, whether it's forward facing technology that now you're going to be doing down imaging, stuff like that. So it's just a broad spectrum. So I would just encourage everyone, if they can only make it out one day, to really look at our website at the icefishexpo.com and pick your battles, right? So like, make sure you whether, like, as you're scrolling there, Josh, pick what you want to do most and make sure you attend that one. But it's just such a broad event for whatever you want to do. You could be the most world-renowned ice fishing. I think you could still come here and find somebody that's going to teach you something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to being able to pop into to pop into these a little bit, because I know Troy Peterson is a wealth of knowledge, especially on the Winnebago system. Larry Smith, also a wealth of knowledge on the Winnebago system. Tom Boley, northern Wisconsin. I don't know if there's a guy that knows how to catch more walleyes out of the northern of Wisconsin than Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So if none of you know or follow Pat Kelmerton or Wolfpack Adventures, then shame on you, because this guy has some crazy stuff that he does with like not only tip ups but just different presentations. He's a great guy, knows a crap ton about ice fishing, and his seminars are always awesome. Sarah, she knows a lot about everything, and so like these are some really like top-notch speakers that we have. I'm excited to go talk with them too.
Yeah, and we don't have everybody up there yet either.
Right.
When you mentioned Pat, he's actually doing 2 seminars. A lot of these people that you look up there, they're doing 2 seminars, and they're different each day. Like Pat's
so
doing.
You can click on it,
yeah,
and it looks like it tells you a little bit about what they'll be talking about. So.
Yep. Pat's doing one on getting kids engaged and keeping them excited about ice fishing and how to, because let's face it, you go fishing with a little kid, you better bring some goldfish or Snickers or Twizzlers or something, to keep them going and keep it short. But then he also, kicks it up a notch for people on very unique tip up tactics and stuff like that. So yeah, a lot of those seminar speakers you saw in there doing different ones each day, and we still have a few tricks up our sleeve that we're going to have some additional speakers as well.
Emily kicked me out. She made me disappear.
I was like, whoa, I did notice that.
Yeah, there are some awesome speakers that are going to be added to this list, but we can't tell you everything tonight. So you have to keep an eye on the website.
Yeah, and if you're a Packer fan, Bill Schrader will be there. He was a Brett Favre type guy, played with them. He'll be at the Wisconsin Outdoor News booth on Sunday from I think 10 to 2, doing autographs and stuff like that. He's a great guy. In fact, last week I was out with him we were fishing Green Bay. We were trolling, and he got a 40-incher with Ryan Knapp, who's a new guy that's going to be speaking on that topic at our open water show. So it's like, I'm just not having a Packer guy there to have a Packer guy there. He fishes, That's awesome. And is a nice, humble guy. And I think, it'll be nice to have him there as well.
So there's like a tab up here that says Fun at the Expo. And so you can look out all the exhibitors, but then you can also check out what the food is going to be there, which I don't know. I know you were joking about I don't like to eat, but I really do like to eat. So I don't know of any other show that actually gives you a preview like this. Mm-hmm. I honestly hadn't even seen this yet. And so this is pretty awesome. The fact that it's food trucks is I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have to put horse blinders on or something so I don't just stand in front of the food trucks.
Well, and what's cool, we wanted to put the menu up and the options so that people know, if they want to come, here's what you can have. And it's not outrageously priced. You're not in Chicago where you're spending $22 for a Cisco truck White Castle little frickin' hamburger. It's good stuff. It's affordable for the whole family. And the nice thing about this facility too is there's free parking, which is almost unheard of. And our Madison show, we'd love to have free parking, but it's county owned. We have no control over that. We don't get a taste of it. It's their deal. But up there, it's free parking. So, there's your hamburger right there, or your gyro or your gourmet ice, sub sandwich and we had a coffee guy coming. So, we really wanted it to just be fun for everybody. Even if their level of ice fishing is in their infancy, it's still an affordable, cheap day to come out and look what they can learn and broaden their ice fishing exposure and passion, and then have a great little meal too. We're really excited about it. We just, the one thing to do, you know, I do pray every day, like there's not some monster storm that comes in December, but you know, it is what it is. We all drive in the snow, and you know, up there, I mean, you may have snow, it may be cold, but that may be part of the fun.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely.
part of ice fishing.
Yeah.
Wear your boots.
So we had a comment here from our buddy Eric, and so he's down by the Winnebago area, and he was saying maybe having a spot where like kids fisheries information could be posted. I think that's like a great idea. Maybe we should set up like a wall section or something and just invite people. If you guys have a kid fishery or something, you know, feel free to stop by the front office and drop off or find me and Emily, and we'll stick it up on the wall. Like that's the kind of stuff that we would like. And like, you know, it's Eric's saying, like, unless you see it at a gas station or a bait shop, like you might not know about these kids fisheries, but that might be something cool for us to incorporate. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that would be really cool. We could probably work something out that way. And I think what I would say is that we should not just use it at the, you know, expand upon that within not just the four walls of our expo, but like we can post it on our website or our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, that's great, right? That gives us content to give to new anglers. So yeah, for sure. I mean, I would like to talk further about that, whether we do some type of a wall, or maybe WIFA becomes involved with this with their deal, because that younger ice fishing jamboree thing is going to eventually possibly be a team member for the Wisconsin Interscholastic Fishing Association. And then we can obviously we'll post it on both our Facebook pages on the Open Water and Ice Fishing Expo. So yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that would be really awesome. And that's why we love our people that come and hang out with us on Thursdays, because they're always full of great ideas, and that's one that like fits exactly in. And if anybody, like, one thing that's really cool about these expos is they run pages that run all year long. So if you have an idea or if you have a question, just message the page and they'll get back to you. Like I just think that it's so cool that there's always content going on the page. You guys are always sharing information and very willing to help out, you know, not just during the show, but like the whole year leading up to it. So,
yeah,
no,
I appreciate that a lot, because we, you know, as the years go, you know, from season to season, please keep us informed. And that if you have a jamboree, a nonprofit, whatever, even if they're not involved with either of our expos, we'd like to help out, you know, and definitely keep us posted. If you have a speaker, that's one thing we always struggle with a little bit, is, you know, who's the next up and coming speaker, or what's the next pattern, what's the next place to go. It's always tough for our open water expo, especially with the Bassmaster Elite guys, because their big tournaments are like sandwiched all over between our February show, you know, February 23rd to the 25th this year. So we're not just always looking for the big sexy tournament guys that are sponsored by everybody on earth. I would love to get local sticks that know what they're doing, that can help out on a given body of water that's within our reach, right? Like a Medicine Chain or Geneva or Delman or Winnebago, you know, all those other lakes. Like, hey, I don't really want to just get total bass stuff or walleye stuff that's not within reach of the average angler. I really rely, and I think my crew, we have a great group with Jeff and Don, you know, and Todd. And I mean, we want to know what's going to catch people more fish in our area, not in Brazil, you know, you know, or, you know, Mexico or whatever. But so, yeah, as you said, Josh, please fill our messages up on Facebook on what you want to see, people want to know from our ice and our open water expo in terms of seminars and where to go and stuff like that.
Are you gonna say anything?
No.
Okay. So you brought up like some awesome people that we have on the team running behind the scenes. And one name caught my attention, and that's Todd. And we don't often talk about Todd because he is kind of like the unsung hero. He puts together some great graphics. He does all kinds of cool things behind the scenes. And one of them is the apparel. And like I got this hat on right now. And so this isn't like a money making scheme or anything, but it's just like super cool Wisconsin stuff that is like
Fishing themed.
And so I just wanted to throw that in there just because like I love this hat for one thing, because it's like way up my alley as far as style, but there's like cool t-shirts and sweatshirts and it's just cool. Like, so if anybody was looking to show up to the show with a cool shirt on, there you go. It's right there on the website. Yeah, I was not planning to plug that. I just happened to be looking at it. It was just sitting here, and then you said Todd, and I was like, oh, yeah, we should talk about that because I love this hat, actually.
I appreciate that you brought that up because, I mean, Todd does a great job. And, I mean, ultimately, you know, as I've told you guys, I mean, we were an ad agency before we were a show promoter. You know, we've been doing promotions for, you know, a variety of different manufacturers in this business. And the show thing kind of happened because we happen to love and care about some of our people that were our clients that were an expo, and then all of a sudden they wanted to go out. So we're like, oh, we want to take this expo and kick it up, you know, and even, you know, carry it on for future generations. So, but yeah, I mean, Todd, he's really talented, and I have that hat on too, coincidentally. But it's not like tacky stuff, you know. It's like it doesn't matter if you're a muskie or pan fisher woman or a trout guy or whatever. It's like a lifestyle brand that is like we all fish. And but thanks, that was solid. I didn't even.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite things about it is that it just has like the Wisconsin on it with just the little fish logo. So like, unless you know, you just think it's like a cool hat. But then if you see other people on the ice with it, it's like, oh, you're like, you know what the good show is.
Yeah, that's awesome, because we didn't want to be like Mr. and Mrs. NASCAR on this, like we're coming at you with our brand. You know, we wanted to be like cool and subtle, and like, you know, even I've got younger kids, well, I'm younger, 22 and 19 now, but like they'll wear it, like where they may not put like a, you know, a branded hat on that says like Minn Kota or something like that, but they'll wear something that like kind of they like to fish, and it's subtle and whatever. So, but thanks, glad you really like it. I appreciate that.
It is awesome. I do have to get up for 1 second, so I'll be right back.
I think in the beginning of the show, Josh was talking about possibly doing a giveaway. So I don't know if we're growing close to that moment or maybe what's going on. If anybody does have any questions about the expo, things that you're thinking about or whatever, post that in the comments here, because we still have a bit of time that we can talk about that while we're together. And gosh, I'm trying to think of if we've missed anything so far, but I guess one of the other things is this is not the only night that we're going to be talking about all this Fun Expo stuff, because coming up, on a bunch of Thursdays, we will be doing interviews with a bunch of the other vendors. So, you know, sometimes it's a guide, sometimes it's a product, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. And kind of, I was going to say you'd have to tune in to see what it is, but that's not even true, because we'll be posting about it along the way as well. So you will be able to see what's coming up. But there was actually so much interest in this that we added in some bonus Tuesdays. So I know that for a while we did 2 podcasts a week. Sometimes we do 1. I don't know. It kind of depends on what's going on with the season and the sport and all of that kind of stuff. But coming up, we'll be coming at you with a lot of good stuff. So looking forward to that. Oh, Nick, very excited for an expo 20 minutes from my house. I know it's going to be the closest expo to my house too. I'm so excited about that.
Mm-hmm. You know what? One thing I would say that is a model that we've chosen between our open water and our ice expo is that we want the major brands there, the big dogs, of course, but our big focus also is having the boutique brands, the smaller brands that you can't really find on Amazon or at the local big box retailers. So that you come to this show, either of our shows, and you're going to find stuff that you like, holy cow, this taper on this rod is something I never would have expected to feel, or this jig, this titanium jig, or this tip up, that you may not find at just in. Nothing wrong with big box stores, but I'm saying this is where our niche kind of is that we're going to give you guys stuff that you may not find unless you come there.
Awesome.
We're all waiting for you. What do you got? What's awesome over here?
Oh, everything's always awesome over here. Okay, so if some of you saw earlier this week, I put up a pack of baits that we just poured. So we got a new mold from Lakeside Molds out of Minnesota. So it's a little jigging minnow. So here's like one of my favorite ones. Oh, it's not going to show it. There you go. So we got that.
Hold on.
I'll let Emily hold them up. She's closer to the camera. So we have one.
That's maybe a little
Ready?
clearer.
2.
Woo, woo. It's backwards. This is harder than it looks like. Oh, because the green, it's a green screen. You can't even, you won't even see this.
Fire
This
Tiger.
green screen. Yeah, it's Fire Tiger.
See if that one
I
shows
saw it shows up okay.
There you go.
This one is like yellow on top, but you can see the black because it's actually green. Oh, this one you'll see.
Yep. So we're on 4.
Whoop.
Okay. 5.
Oh, this one's going to be too green. This is so funny. There you go.
And 6. So all 6 of those, I did a auction earlier this week, and one of our friends, Christian Miller, won that auction. So he had some great baits going his way. But I had so much fun making these that I made a second set that was exactly the same. And I decided that if people share the show out and comment before, let's say before 9 o'clock, if you're just getting with us, if you share that
9 p.m. Central, like our time
tonight,
Central?
like in an hour and 7 minutes. If you share the show out, you comment, I'm going to do a random drawing. I'm going to send this 6-pack to somebody tonight. So, and that kicks off our giveaway with the series. So we won't be giving away something that cool for the whole time. Well, yeah, you never know, because I don't know what's in this bag.
And that's kind of the point. Treasure chest.
Yeah, we got the Lakewood treasure chest, and it's only partially filled up because I was rushing.
Yeah, maybe other things that sneak its way in or not or whatever.
But we're going to reach into the treasure chest every Thursday that we have a show coming up, all the way leading up to the expo, and we're just going to give something away. So if you share the show out, if you comment before 9 o'clock every Thursday that we have a show, I will do a random drawing the next day, and I'll get a hold of you. So there you go.
I'm assuming I am exempt. I don't qualify for this promotion. I can't.
Well, I mean, we just assume that with all of your connections, you got all the stuff. So.
I was gonna say you know us.
Yeah, you assumed poorly. I don't have that much stuff in the ice fishing realm. I'm working on it still. I'm plotting my, I'm going to catch every seminar I can at our shows so I can be a better ice fisherman.
Hey, Dave, Nicholas, thank you guys for sharing already, and thank you everybody for who's going to do it. I mean, this is going to be, I can't wait for the expo. honestly, for us, it's going to go so quick because we live our life day to day, week to week, and like I think there's only 11 only. So there's 8 weeks for us, 8 weeks of shows because we have a week-long break. We're out of the country. But we actually are going to do some Tuesday shows because we had some really good. We couldn't just say no to some of the vendors.
Should we all act surprised about this?
So we're going to be
talking
doing
about that while we were gone. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's a good
Sorry.
reminder.
So I mean, I'm just excited. Like it's just going to go so fast. Like all of a sudden we're done talking with the vendors, and then it'll be like, what is that? The TikTok thing where you snap your fingers and now it's the expo time.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Yeah. So I'm super excited. Can anybody tell?
Oh man. But this is right in our backyard. I mean, we're in Antigo, a little bit farther than Oshkosh, but it does feel like our backyard when it's in our state. And so many of home state vendors, a lot of cool products coming, and all of that is on the website. So really great to have that reference. And like you said, the Facebook pages are a great place to be excited as well, because there's always lots of posts like you mentioned. So never know what you'll run into on there either.
Yep. And like you guys said, and like we talked about a little bit, please, everybody who's watching, listening, posting, whatever, let us know what you want. Let us know what you want at the Ice Expo and the Open Water Expo, because we want to keep up to date. We don't want to keep, I've seen shows before get stagnant, right? That they just do the same thing every year. We've got the log rollers, we've got the whatever, we want new stuff. I think Josh said he would be in the dunk tank this year for people to throw snowballs at him.
Yep.
So we're looking forward to that. No, just kidding. We're not doing that. But seriously, we just want to do new stuff, and we want to keep it local to some degree in terms of what's going to catch the fish in your area. But we also want to expand the horizons on what people are doing in other states that maybe has not penetrated Wisconsin yet. That we want to kick things up a notch, and like Josh, when you're talking about that whole culture with the sturgeon spearing, I mean, that's us. We're unique with that. And I'll be honest with you, when I heard that people just stare at a hole and, for 8 hours, I did it one time. I didn't even have a spear, and it's a culture, right? I put on my Johnny Cash and listen to my old hick music that I enjoy, and you eat snacks and you just enjoy it. It's like being at deer camp, but on the ice, so.
That's so funny. Well, I don't know. What else are we missing? That's it. I want to sit here and keep talking about this, but mostly that's not true. Mostly I just am ready for it to be here. So like we said, we're going to snap our fingers and it'll be tomorrow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like Don posted something the other day and he's like, we're 90 days out. And I'm like, oh man, and my wife, Lisa, she's like, it's coming. I'm like, no, I know it is. But we got everything dialed in, but it's like that night before prom, like we've done this expo in open water forever, right? But this is a new facility, but in our marketing, we're spending a fortune on marketing to try to on every avenue, and we're not just doing social, we're doing traditional stuff, right? Because in advertise, there's a lot of people that ice fish that are in their 50s, 70s, and that don't on TikTok. So we're doing billboards, we're doing print, we're doing radio, we're doing TV, we're doing, all the social stuff. We're doing some, just whatever. I mean, we're an ad agency, right? So we're hitting everything we can. But still, you're like, gosh, dang it, we're spending a lot of money, and we're gonna do it to get people in the doors and hopefully keep our vendors happy and keep the crowds coming.
Well, and it doesn't help that Emily and I keep digging into the business card box because we're leaving them in every boat ramp, on every car, at every boat ramp that we visit. So if you've gotten one at a boat ramp, that was probably us. We didn't break into your car. We just left you a present.
All you guys and your organic stuff that you're doing is priceless, right? I mean, that's huge. No, but seriously, you guys have been a giant help, not just from the marketing and the videos you produced for us, but just coaching us up on some of the vendors, because some of this was new terrain, that we've been in the fishing industry for 25 years, but you are more dialed in on ice stuff, probably your team, and everything that you've said, we've not, we've listened to, and I know it's going to make it a better expo because your team's been a part of it for sure.
Well, we appreciate that.
Well, and I feel like now we owe you a pack of baits or something. Like, that was really, really kind of you.
I'll get Emily to sign one for you, because that'll be lucky then.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. No, but thank you guys for having me on, and thanks for all you do, and just, you guys have never been pull punches. You tell us what you think needs to happen, and it's just been a great help. So we're really happy that you guys are part of this.
Well, and
That's
thank
so
you
awesome.
for like hosting the expo. Thank you for putting all the time and effort and money. I can't afford to do this.
Yeah, there's that, the money part, but that'll come, right? I mean, that part will come in year one. Maybe we're not. I'm certainly not planning on putting a new wing under my house from the ticket sales, but what we want to do is put on a great show and a great family event that everybody is proud to be a part of, and someday maybe we are as big as St. Paul and little old Oshkosh, Wisconsin. But for now, we're just going to be happy to put on a great show, and it's not small, right? I mean, it's if to put it in perspective, if you look at your average Cabela's, I'd say most people know what that size is, right?
Mm-hmm.
In your average Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops now, I know they co-brand or whatever, but it's about that size, but all ice fishing, like everything. If you look at that store where they're hunting, camping, fishing department, all that stuff this will be about as big as that, but all ice, everything ice fishing. And as you guys know, we never ever dilute our show with gutter guards or ring cleaners or install the tile guide the next day stuff. And I'm not cutting on other shows that do that. You got to sell space, right? And you got to pay the rent. But what we do is we don't do that. And everything you see at our show is going to be applicable either for a good meal in your belly or a good fishing experience on ice or open water. That's just, we're not, and we get approached all the time by chiropractors, everything, you name it. They just want bodies, right? We don't take them. And that's not what we're about. We want it to be a true, pure show, ice or open water.
That's awesome.
Well, and I guess with that, make sure to check out icefishexpo.com. Maybe we can put that in the comments so that it's easy to click on. Also, check out the Wisconsin Ice Fishing Expo Facebook page, or I guess even the Wisconsin Fishing Expo Facebook page, because both are really fun, honestly. And if you have questions or comments or things beyond that, don't hesitate to get a hold of the page, those Facebook groups, or even us, or let us know what you're thinking. So we're looking forward to it. And I know we're going to be spending the next few Thursdays and a few Tuesdays talking a lot more about some of the specific vendors and people that'll be there. So that's really exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But, Dan, we have to say thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you so much.
Oh gosh, thank you. It's much better than last Thursday when the Packers got pummeled by the Lions. And the Brewers
we were wondering why we had so many people here chatting with us.
Oh man.
Oh, but speaking of the people at home, you guys are always half the fun. So thank you for joining us as well. And thank you for your comments and everything along the way. And one more plug for, I think people have about 55 minutes left until the 9 p.m. Central cutoff for those baits. So like and share this post, and we're looking forward to seeing you on next week's episode of The Knife Bite.
Night, everybody.